In the bustling marketplace, a sea of people surged, with the cries of vendors and the haggling of customers blending into a chaotic symphony. A rustic man was guarding a cart brimming with pears. Each pear was plump and round, as if kissed by the sun, exuding an alluring sheen. Their fragrance wafted through the air, drawing the eyes of passers-by. A whiff of it would send a sweet aroma straight to the heart, as if captivating one's very soul. Such fine pears naturally commanded a high price. Just then, a Taoist priest made his way through the crowd. He wore a tattered turban that seemed to have weathered countless storms, its edges frayed and curled. His cotton-padded jacket was covered with patches upon patches, resembling an abstract map. The Taoist walked slowly up to the pear cart, a humble smile spreading across his face, and gently asked the rustic man for a pear to eat. The rustic man furrowed his brows and snapped impatiently, "Scram! What kind of beggar are you? Don't get in the way here." However, the Taoist remained unmoved, as if he hadn't heard, standing there with eyes full of longing. This infuriated the rustic man even more. His face turned red with anger, and he roared at the top of his lungs, his voice booming through the marketplace like a tolling bell. Yet the Taoist remained calm, his expression as serene as a deep, unfathomable lake. He said slowly, "You have a whole cart full of pears, surely several hundred. I'm only asking for one to quench my thirst. It's but a tiny loss to you. Why get so worked up?" The onlookers, seeing this, tried to persuade the rustic man, "Just pick a bad one and give it to him. Send him on his way and stop this commotion." But the rustic man was as stubborn as a mule. He stiffened his neck and flatly refused. A shop assistant nearby, unable to bear watching this farce any longer, felt a twinge of pity. He took out a few copper coins, bought a pear, and handed it to the Taoist. The Taoist took it with both hands, gave the assistant a grateful look, and said to the crowd, "We Taoists have never known stinginess. Now that I have this fine pear, I'll surely share it with you all." Someone in the crowd asked in confusion, "If you have a pear, why not eat it yourself? Why go through all this trouble?" The Taoist smiled faintly and explained, "I only need the pear core as a seed." With that, he held the pear in both hands, took a big bite, and the juice burst out. The sweet taste spread instantly in his mouth. He ate it with relish, and soon finished the pear, tightly clutching the core in his hand. Next, the Taoist took out an iron shovel from his back. The handle of the shovel was polished smooth, and the blade was slightly worn, showing signs of years of use. He found a spot on the ground, squatted down, and started digging. His movements were unhurried, shovelful by shovelful, creating a small pit several inches deep. Then he gently placed the pear core in the pit and carefully covered it with soil, as if nurturing a rare treasure. After everything was ready, the Taoist looked up and called out to the people on the street, "Which kind-hearted person can bring me some hot water to water this pear core?" No sooner had he spoken than an eager young man dashed over from a nearby store like a gust of wind, carrying a pot of boiling water, steam billowing from it. The Taoist took the kettle, murmured some incantations, and slowly poured the boiling water into the pit. Everyone gathered around curiously, their eyes fixed intently on the pit. To their astonishment, a miracle happened. A tender green pear sprout emerged from the ground like a curious little elf. It grew at an incredible speed, its leaves unfurling and its branches thickening. In the blink of an eye, it became a lush pear tree, swaying gently in the breeze as if showing off its magic. After a while, snow-white pear blossoms bloomed in profusion, like a group of fairies in white dresses dancing gracefully on the branches. Soon the blossoms withered, replaced by small green fruits. these fruits, as if under a spell, grew rapidly and in no time turned into a tree full of large, sweet pears, hanging heavily on the branches, exuding an inviting fragrance. The Taoist, agile as a monkey, climbed up the tree, picked the pears, and handed them out one by one to the onlookers. People tasted the sweet pears, exclaiming in admiration. In a short while, all the pears were gone. After distributing the pears, the Taoist climbed down from the tree, picked up the shovel, walked to the pear tree, and started chopping at it. The sound of ding dong echoed through the marketplace like a unique piece of music. After chopping for a long time, the pear tree finally fell with a snap. The Taoist shouldered the trunk with its branches and leaves and walked away leisurely. At first, when the Taoist was performing this miraculous trick, the rustic pear seller was also among the onlookers. He stretched his neck so long that it seemed it might snap, his eyes wide as bells, staring intently at every move of the Taoist. He was so engrossed in the wonderful performance that he completely forgot about selling his pears. After the Taoist left, the rustic man finally came to his senses. He spun around and looked at his pear cart. The sight was like a thunderbolt striking him. The cart was empty, not a single pear left. It suddenly dawned on him that the pears the Taoist had distributed to everyone were all from his cart. He examined the cart carefully and found that one of the cart handles was missing. The broken end was shiny and new, clearly just cut off. The rustic man was filled with a mix of anger and annoyance. His face turned as red as a liver. He stamped his foot and rushed off in the direction the Taoist had gone. Turning a corner, he immediately saw the broken cart handle lying alone under the wall. Only then did he realize that the so-called pear tree trunk the Taoist had chopped was actually the cart handle. And the Taoist had vanished without a trace, as if he had never been in the marketplace at all. The people in the marketplace, witnessing this scene, were stunned at first, then burst into laughter. Some laughed so hard that they bent double, unable to straighten up. Some laughed until tears streamed down their faces, clutching their stomachs in pain. The entire marketplace turned into a sea of joy, with the rustic man becoming the butt of the joke, looking even more embarrassed amidst the laughter of the crowd. The chronicler of strange tales couldn't help but sigh. This rustic man was muddle-headed and simple-minded. So it's no wonder he was made fun of by the people in the marketplace. In daily life, we often see those so-called local wealthy people in the villages who are extremely stingy. Whenever a good friend asks them to borrow some grain, they frown in reluctance, muttering, "This is several days' worth of expenses. What will I eat if I lend it to you?" If someone tries to persuade them to help those in distress or give some food to the lonely and destitute, they'll fly into a rage, calculating in their minds, "This is enough for 5 or 10 people. Why should I let them have it for free?" Even among fathers, sons, and brothers, they haggle over every tiny detail. But once these people are obsessed with prostitution and gambling, they become like madmen, squandering money without a second thought. And once they commit a crime and face the threat of imprisonment or even death, they panic and rush to pay money to save their lives, fearing a moment's delay. There are countless such people, vividly demonstrating the greed and stupidity of human nature. Seen in this light, it's not at all strange that a rustic pear seller is muddle-headed and foolish.